Hello everyone, my name is Keely. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. Now, when I had my old booktube channel, I have done this tag before, but this is the first time on this channel. And considering I started making videos here in May, you don't know a lot about my reading for the first half of the year. So I'm excited to talk to you about some of these books. Let's get on into it. So the first question is, best book you've read so far in 2022. Now, I have read a lot of good books this year, so I kind of have one from each genre because I do read from various genres. I don't typically stick to just one. So my favorite romance book this year so far is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. The hype is real. I love this book so much. It is a fake dating relationship, and I love fake dating. I also love the two characters, Adam and Olive. I think they're really great, and I love that it is set in STEM. My favorite thriller so far this year is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This is a perfect, isolated, snowy setting set in the Scottish Highlands about a husband and wife who need to get away to try to fix their marriage, and the twist in here is immaculate, and that's all I'm gonna say. So my favorite fantasy so far this year, I don't read a whole lot of fantasy, but I do have a favorite so far, and that is All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. So this is about a magical deadly tournament. I really love deadly games and deadly tournaments. So in this one, every 20 years, 7 magical families are in this tournament and they fight to the death, and the winner gets all of the high magic. And I loved it. I love tournaments. I thought this was so well done, and for a non-fantasy lover, this was a great fantasy book. But overall, my favorite book so far this year, if you have been watching my recent videos, is The Electric Kingdom by David Arnold. Now, this is a post-apocalyptic book, and this is set about 15 to 20 years after the apocalypse happens. So it's not even the beginning. This is the whole world they know. We're following a group of kids, and each character is so unique and so different, and the only world they know is one where the apocalypse has happened. There is this fly flu that has taken over and killed millions, and the flies are like this super powerful insect that can smell blood from miles away. They can lift humans off the ground, and they just eat flesh. I love apocalypse stories, and I think this one's very unique, and I love all the characters. The next question is best sequel you've read so far this year, and I actually have made a point this year to try to finish series. So I have read a lot of sequels, but I'm gonna have to say my favorite one is Steel Striker by Marie Lu. Now, this is book 2 in this duology, and I was so surprised with how much I loved this one. So the first one, we follow this world that is broken apart by war. There are these different federations, and the Corinza Federation is trying to take over all of the different groups and people and just try to take over the world, basically. So we follow a group of young warriors who are trying to stop this, and through this, the Corinza Federation is experimenting on people, and so they have created sky hunters, and they are people with these huge metal wings. Now, this is kind of a fantasy, but it is also dystopian, so it's like a dystopian fantasy. So it's funny that I said that I don't read a lot of fantasy, but I have listed 2 fantasy books on this that I have really loved. So the next question is new release you haven't read yet but you really want to. Now, I keep a calendar of all of my anticipated releases, so I have a whole list of them, and there are a lot that I haven't read, but the one I am going to mention is If You Change Your Mind by Robbie Weber. Now, Robbie is one of my friends. I've been friends with him for a few years, and this is his debut book, and I know that there is a gay love triangle in this, and it is a very summer, contemporary romance novel, and I love contemporary romances, and I'm just very proud of Robbie for this, and I just feel like I'm really gonna love it. I may be a little biased, but I'm very excited to get to this one. It came out in May, and I'm disappointed in myself that I haven't read it yet. So the next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So of course I have a ton of releases that I'm anticipating, so I'm gonna name 3 because I just can't choose. So as I'm filming this, tomorrow, The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager comes out. This is one of his new thrillers, and I loved all of his books that I've read so far, so of course I'm anticipating his next one. I'm also really anticipating Lightlark by Alex Astor. This comes out in August, and this is about an island that appears every 100 years, and there's a deadly game involved. I've already mentioned I love deadly games. Also in August comes out All of Our Demise, which is the sequel to All of Us Villains, so can't wait for that one as well. The next question is biggest surprise, and I'm going to take this as one that I was pleasantly surprised by, that I really, really enjoyed. And I'm going to go with In an Absent Dream by Shauna Maguire. Now, this is book 4 in the Wayward Children series, and I was so surprised by this one because I believe it is my favorite so far in the series. And I never thought that I would pick up Every Heart a Doorway. Like, I had never had plans to pick up this series. I wasn't super interested. I knew it was hyped, but I never thought I'd pick it up. And so this year I finally did, and I am currently reading book 7, so obviously it's gone well. But In an Absent Dream I was definitely surprised by, because I love this one and the world so much. It was so unique and so fascinating. So this next question actually goes perfectly with the previous question, and that is favorite new author, whether it is a debut author or a new to you author, and I'm gonna have to go with Shauna Maguire. Like I said, I started reading the Wayward Children series this year, and I'm currently on the 7th book, and I think only 7 are out so far, so I have definitely loved the world Shauna Maguire has created, and I love the writing so much. I cannot wait to read more from Shauna Maguire. But there's also another author I want to mention, and that is Colleen Hoover. I have recently read a ton of her books. I have wanted to read her books probably for about 5-6 years now, and I finally took the plunge and did it, and I now have read about 8 of her books, so definitely enjoy her too. Wow, these questions just like keep piggybacking off of each other. The next question is newest fictional crush, and I'm gonna have to go with Ben from November 9. I think Ben is really romantic, he is really kind, he's been through so much, and he is just really funny as well. I really loved him in this, and I love how he treated Fallon. Fallon and Ben are definitely my favorite coho couple, and Ben is half of the reason for that. The next question is a book that made you cry, and I was going to mention another Colleen Hoover for this, but I'm going to stop talking about her, and I'm going to go with Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. This is my favorite volume in the series. I really loved it because of how emotional it made me feel. It really dove into mental health issues and how to react when someone you love is dealing with that, and it definitely made me tear up and cry a little bit. I do cry pretty often, but I felt like there hasn't been a book this year that has truly made me sob. There's been a TV show recently that absolutely destroyed me, but as far as a book go, I haven't really had like an intense cry session, but definitely Heartstopper Volume 4 I remember tearing up at and crying a little bit. So on the flip side of that, a book that made you happy, I'm gonna have to go with XOXO by Axio. So this follows a Korean American girl named Jenny, and she lives in California, and one night when she is at her uncle's karaoke bar, she meets this boy, and he's very cute, but he also is kind of mysterious, and she has this really great night with him, and they have a lot of fun and go on a big adventure, and then he flies off to Korea and goes back home, and a few months later it turns out her and her mom are moving to Korea, and she goes to school there for a few months, and of course the boy she met that night goes to that school, and of course he's a K-pop idol. Like, wouldn't you know? I love this one, and it made me so incredibly happy because I also lived in Korea, and so seeing the school system and the country just made me feel so nostalgic, and it really filled a hole in my heart that Korea left, and I was just so happy reading this. The next question is most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. So I haven't bought or received a whole ton of books this year. I haven't been buying books a lot because I've been reading from my library, even though I should be reading from my physical TBR, but that's another story. But I definitely am gonna have to go with The Merciless Ones by Namina Forna. This cover is just absolutely stunning, and the first one I would say is even better. I love the first cover so much. This is another fantasy series. What am I, a fantasy girl? Like, who would have thought? I loved the first one, and this is another book that just came out, and I cannot wait to get to it. I plan on reading it in August, but I think these covers are breathtaking and stunning and very unique and different, but they capture the series perfectly, and I have to collect them obviously because they are some of the most stunning books I own. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So as everyone has stated before, there are a ton of books that I need to finish this year. I am actually planning after this video on filming a physical TBR collection video, so all of those books I need to read at the end of this year. But there is one book that I'm going to challenge myself to finish this year, because I need to, and that is The Stand by Stephen King. So this is the longest book I own. This is longer than the Bible, and I have read the entire Bible. This is a little over, no, it's like 1,150 pages, something like that, and I've been reading it for a year, and I know that I could just knock it out if I sat down and read it, but my problem is I'm like, oh, I could read 6 books in the time it takes me to finish this one book, but you know, I gotta do it. I am like halfway through. You see that? I have this much left, and I just need to do it. I am going on a 22-hour flight this weekend, and I am planning on just reading this, so that is my one TBR book for the second half of the year. So that is it for the mid-year book freakout tag. Let me know your favorite book of the year. Also, let me know your least favorite book of the year. I'm kind of sad that that's not a question on here because I have some books that would turn heads if I mentioned it. But if you made it this far in the video, go ahead and leave a sword emoji because I'm a fantasy girl, you know? But that is it for this video. As always, all my social media links will be down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!